Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Leo and your moon in Virgo. And I think we need to start a support group for people with their moon in Virgo. I have my sun in Sag and my moon in Virgo. And of course I'm joking. Well, kind of, sort of. Because I will explain why the moon in Virgo can be difficult, but also why it can be a good combination with fire energy. So we look first to the sun, and of course, Leo is ruled by the sun. So that's where Leo gets that reputation of being larger than life because the sun is such an important part of all of our lives. And in astrology, that's why it has such a high ranking in terms of its influence over people's personality. And you can actually just look at the sun sign and tell a lot about a person. Of course, you can't tell every single thing about them. If somebody is a Leo and they have their sun in the 12th house, they may be quite subdued. And this combination is going to subdue the Leo person. Look to the rising sign for the type of impression that the Leo person makes. If you have your rising sign in Pisces, for instance, you might be, or Cancer, you might be kind of reticent. You might not walk into a room like the typical Leo person and be, big and bad and bold. You might just kind of feel your way into a situation because there's more of a self-protective kind of vibe going on. So yeah, all Leos are not created the same, and that's good because there are some good points to this, but you do have to look at other elements as well. So all fire signs, and we're talking about Aries, Leo, and Sag, are passionate. Okay, so the water and the fire signs, they're emotional, but the fire signs are less emotional personally. And this is why if you ever deal with water signs, you know that they tend to think of those of us who are fire signs as being insensitive because they're like, how could you not, give me this sympathy or whatever? And it's not that we don't sympathize or empathize with people, but we may be very, I was going to say preachy towards them because Sages always get that rap. But in general, fire energy is very independent. So the person may give that kind of advice like, hey, this is what you can do. And some people don't like that because they want the actual sympathy. They don't want somebody to just tell them steps that they can do. They want somebody to go, oh, you poor thing. I mean, in a positive way, of course. I don't mean like treating them like pathetic or anything like that. And this combination is going to be particularly notorious for telling people what they need to do because the moon is very much about, the moon in Virgo is very perfectionistic and very critical. It's going to be self-critical, but it can be critical towards others, or at the very least, very, detailed in explaining what that person needs to do. Fire energy is very blunt. And so that's another thing that people don't like. They don't want somebody to just tell it like it is. And they resent that. And people can see those of us who are fire signs as very arrogant because, and they, you know how when somebody's arrogant, they say that, oh, he or she is full of themselves. That really describes fire signs, full of themselves. They are believers and practitioners of self-created creations. So, what do they call it? I said self-created creations. Creative self-expression. That's what I meant to say. Oof. That came out wrong. So the bottom line is that you are probably a very creative person, but you may be your own worst enemy when it comes to being able to feel confident about your creations. And that is going to be a huge stumbling block because you have to get past perfectionism. And I've been saying this for all of these combinations where I'm talking about the moon in Virgo because I'm talking about myself. But I'm especially talking about this when people are fire signs because this is going to lead to people who suppress their creative instinct. And you may be very talented and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because you're so busy trying to be perfect. And with Leo, that can be an added thing of the ego seeping into it. That is a lot of what Leo gets a bad rap for and saying, oh, yeah, they're a narcissist, they're very egotistical. That's only the imbalanced Leo people. And you can see imbalances by looking at your sun aspects and see if you have a lot of hard aspects like squares and oppositions, although some conjunctions may actually have a negative tinge or challenging tinge. Like if you have a conjunction between the sun and Pluto as a Leo, that can be possibly problematic. If you have what if you have the moon square Mars or something like that? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be hard angles to the sun. It could be other things going on that can make you a difficult person. And that this just adds to that, where you might misuse this powerful conjunction because of other, emotional problems or what have you. So definitely look at some of these things. And the bottom line is that Leo is a very romantic sign. It wants life to be this great play, that we're not just here keeping our bodies alive, doing the 9 to 5, doing all of those daily routines, but there's something big that we're supposed to be expressing and that we're supposed, you could even say like birthing and bringing into creation. Leo rules the 5th house, which is the house of creative self-expression as well as love, but also children. So, and it's also, when it comes to children, it can be, I can't think straight, conceiving children. That's what I meant to say. And so your baby might be a physical one, but it might be a creative project. And so that is really what it's all about for you. However, with the moon in Virgo, you may have these vague fears. Can I sustain myself? What about the future? I'm not good enough, especially feelings of inadequacy. The moon represents the mother. So the mother may have done this to you. The mother may have been overly critical and made you self-conscious. And a self-conscious person finds it hard to let loose on a stage or with their writing with, pencil to paper, or if you type on a computer your novels or plays. Anything that involves creative self-expression. And even like when it comes to love, that might extend into that area as well. You may feel insecure. And depending on the rising sign, if it's something like some people do have the same rising sign as their sun sign. And let's say you do have Leo rising or maybe Aries rising. You may give a good impression of being confident, but there might be deep down inside feelings of inadequacy. And these things can be healed. I'm living proof of that. And it doesn't mean that if they're getting healed, it means that you're perfect and that you're just like, I mean, that's certainly not true for me. I can certainly get very insecure. And I just noticed this when somebody pointed out a mistake I had made. I just noticed how I went into this mode of like snark and things like that. That's insecurity. You know what I mean? And I know that some of you probably hate to be criticized. This is because of the past, and it triggers within us old traumas, old fears, old feelings that we don't like. But I had this insight last night when I was riding my bike, of all things, in the dark. And I don't know why I was thinking about this. Maybe I was thinking about these videos. I don't know. Or Moon and Virgo. I was thinking to myself that even if a person doesn't like to be criticized, it doesn't mean that they are insecure. It doesn't mean that they have low self-esteem. I really don't believe that. What I think it actually can mean is that they love themselves and they dislike intensely somebody trying to demean them. That is a very slight difference in reactions, but I don't want to fall into that trap of just assuming that everyone that kind of like recoils at criticism doesn't value themselves. And that's what, it triggers their inadequacy. So anyway, whatever is going on with you, the point is that you can heal from it. Knowledge is power, and also doing what you are good at is power. You may, depending on other factors, oh yeah, I'll tell you one thing that might happen. Because you're sun in Leo, you can very easily, and probably do, have inner planets in Cancer. And if you do have that, or Virgo, and both of these, because they are earth and water, they can be both practical and they can make you much more concerned about your material existence. And I'm not saying that that makes you stupid, bad, or too materialistic, but it can make you overly cautious. So Leo is all about that fiery expansion. And expansion means veering outside of your comfort zone, or venturing, I should say, outside of your comfort zone, and not being so afraid of what if. Maybe you have to take baby steps to get there, but that is a way to heal. As I have been saying with these Virgo moon video combinations, when I started doing this, that was my key to stop being a perfectionist, because I was making so many videos that eventually I had to just abandon that kind of thing. And at first I was trying to edit out every and everything like that. So please, whatever you do, do not think that you cannot change because you have a certain astrological configuration. You can change. It's not set in stone, but you have to know what there is to change. That's the key. So, what else do I want to say? I think in love, you can be very, I was going to say, in servitude to your partner. You want your partner to be happy. You want to do nice things for your partner. I mean, when I say nice, it's actually being considerate. Um, Maybe cooking for them if that's something you're good at. There's just this, like, especially if you're like a heterosexual woman, you may find that you have this domestic side to yourself, and it doesn't make any sense because you may be somebody who is a career woman, and yet you really enjoy taking care of your man. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the best possible way. Um, that you're not just somebody who is like the type of feminist that it's like, okay, I don't have to cook for you, so I'm not going to cook for you. Or I don't have to clean around here. You may enjoy cleaning. You may enjoy some of these things. They may chill you out. They may keep you grounded. And again, look at your inner planets. You might have a lot of Virgo anyhow. Leo is, like I said, very romantic. It's also very generous. And this can counter some of the tendencies for the moon in Virgo to be too critical of others, because that's not good. That is going to, rub people the wrong way. And that could make it so that you don't have what you want, which is love. But you would be a great catch because you do have that romantic side as well as the practical side. And let's see what else. Well, one thing to watch out for is, because Leo is very generous, don't throw pearls before swine. Don't be generous to the wrong person. And there's always a danger with Leo of that, because Leo, I've often said, is a sensual or lusty sign, and can tend to, maybe, and not always, but fall in love with the wrong person, and also open their wallet to the wrong person. And some of those things go hand in hand. So you have to be discerning. And that might be like a blind spot sometimes, because the moon in Virgo can be very discerning. But I still think that there's a possibility sometimes for Leos in general to get taken for a ride. And the money thing, the financial generosity, can bring out some of those people who are takers, who don't give, they just take. And I'm not talking about financially, I'm just talking about energetically. And you just are such a positive person usually that you want somebody who is in that vibration. The type of work that you excel in can vary. You might be very good as some kind of a leader, because usually Leos are wonderful leaders and they lead by example. I think that you are a very hard worker in general. So it's not like you're just trying to be in a position of power or authority because you don't want to work. And you're like, you might easily be a workaholic with this combination, or just being a Leo in general, but this can exacerbate those tendencies with this moon sign. And so you have to be more balanced with your life so that you are doing things very incrementally, or doing them as they need to be done, but not overdoing things. So, yeah, I mean, the type of work that you would excel in is anything connected to the arts, because you would be a very person who really believes in rehearsing and practicing to get it right. Maybe working for a museum, something that's connected to your passions. Seriously, I mean, depending on other factors, maybe if your sun is in the second house, but for some Leos, you might even be good with um, finances, and with the moon, certainly, because the moon is Earth. So that could mean an accountant or any other type of work or business, maybe an entrepreneur. And if you were an entrepreneur or have been, you might be really good at promoting yourself, um, and things like that. So you might be a great teacher, especially younger grades, with this combination because you tend to have an affinity with children as it is, and you have that inner child um, coming out. So I think it's very versatile. And yeah, so I think I will leave it there in terms of these attributes. This is what I have for you. Oh, and one thing I just want to note, you make a great leader. So you might climb the ranks, even if you are in a subordinate position. At some point, you may climb the ranks and become something else at a higher position in the hierarchy. But I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.